March 8th, 2014. It's just past midnight in Kuala Lumpur. At gate G8, final boarding calls echo through the terminal. On the tarmac, a Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777-200ER, tail number 9M-MRO, awaits departure. Its destination, Beijing. A red-eye flight expected to cross the South China Sea under the calm cloak of night. A total of 239 souls are on board, 227 passengers and 12 crew members. At the very front of the aircraft, inside the cockpit, 2 pilots sit at the controls, men trained to command one of the most advanced commercial airliners in the world. In the left seat is Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, a veteran of the skies with over 18,000 flight hours. He joined Malaysia Airlines in 1981 and became one of its most trusted instructors. Beside him, in the right seat, sits First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, just 27 years old. Bright, focused, newly certified on the 777. This is one of his very first flights as a fully qualified co-pilot. At 12:41 a.m, the tower clears Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 for departure. The twin Rolls-Royce Trent 892 engines spool to life, roaring to full power. The Boeing 777 accelerates and lifts off smoothly into the night sky. Weather conditions are calm, no delays are reported. The aircraft climbs steadily. At 1:01 a.m, it reaches cruising altitude 35,000 feet, flying northeast over the South China Sea. Autopilot is engaged. The flight path is routine. Approaching the navigation waypoint Igari, air traffic control in Kuala Lumpur hands the flight over to Ho Chi Minh Center in Vietnam. At 1:19 a.m, Captain Zahari responds on the radio. Good night, Malaysia 370.
350, Malaysia 370. Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350.
Malaysian 370.
Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350.
Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
It's a standard acknowledgement, clear, professional. Vietnamese controllers wait for MH370 to check in on their frequency. Nothing comes through. Minutes pass. Still, no contact. At first it seems like a minor delay. Perhaps a radio issue, perhaps a missed call. But soon, concern begins to grow. Seconds later, the aircraft disappears from civilian radar screens. No mayday, no emergency code, just a sudden absence. Attempts to reach MH370 begin almost immediately after the aircraft fails to contact Ho Chi Minh Control. Air traffic controllers try multiple methods. First, standard VHF radio calls. There's no response. The standard VHF radio calls in aviation are structured voice communications transmitted over very high frequency radio waves to enable clear and efficient interaction between pilots and air traffic control. They facilitate navigation, safety, and emergency coordination, ensuring precise instructions for takeoff, landing, altitude changes, and distress situation. Next, ACARS messages. The Aircraft Communications Addressing and Reporting System, which normally sends routine data between the aircraft and airline operations. But ACARS appears to have stopped transmitting around the same time the aircraft vanished from radar. Attempts are made to contact MH370 through SATCOM, satellite communications used for long-range voice and data links. No signal is received. Controllers then reach out to other aircraft in the area, asking pilots to attempt air-to-air radio contact on shared frequencies. One aircraft, believed to be a Singapore Airlines flight, reports hearing what may have been MH370, but the transmission is faint and unclear. Despite vanishing from civilian radar at 2:22 a.m, nearly an hour after MH370 lost contact, a target appears on Malaysia's military radar. matching the size and speed of a Boeing 777. The aircraft is turning sharply westward, away from its original course. It crosses back over the Malaysian peninsula, deviating significantly from its planned route to Beijing. It continues west, crossing the Strait of Malacca, and then heads northwest in the direction of the Andaman Sea. Military radar tracks it silently for over an hour. Then, at 2:40 a.m., the signal fades. The aircraft disappears from military radar as well. No transmission, no emergency, no trace. An aircraft carrying 239 people is now unaccounted for. It isn't until 6:30 a.m., nearly 4 hours later, that Malaysia Airlines announces the flight is missing. Search and rescue teams are mobilized. Initial efforts focus on the South China Sea, near MH370's last known civilian radar position. Ships, helicopters and aircraft are dispatched, but they're looking in the wrong place. Because what no one knows yet is that the plane turned west. Behind the scenes, investigators begin combing through radar logs, air traffic recordings and satellite data, searching for clues. What they would soon discover would change the course of the investigation entirely. The British company Inmarsat reveals that MH370's SATCOM terminal continued to send automated handshake signals, known as pings, to a satellite positioned over the Indian Ocean. These pings were sent once every hour, beginning just after the aircraft vanished from radar and continuing for nearly 7 hours. In total, 7 unanswered handshakes. No messages, just silent signals. But they prove one thing: the aircraft remained powered and airborne for hours after its last known position. Using Doppler shift analysis, Inmarsat calculates the possible flight paths. 2 arcs emerge, one stretching north towards Central Asia, the other heading south into the vast emptiness of the southern Indian Ocean. After cross-checking radar data, fuel endurance and timing, investigators conclude the northern route is impossible. The aircraft had turned south. Final analysis places the last satellite handshake at 8:19 a.m. in the remote southern Indian Ocean, far from land, far from any runway, well beyond radar coverage. It is here, thousands of kilometers from the original search zone, that the world realizes MH370 did not crash near Southeast Asia. It flew on, into one of the most isolated regions on Earth. An international coalition forms, led by Australia, Malaysia and China. Navies deploy warships, aircraft scan vast stretches of ocean, sonar equipment maps the seafloor in detail. Weeks turn into months, the ocean yields no answers. For more than a year, nothing is found. Then finally, in July 2015, a discovery. On the shores of Réunion Island, off the coast of Africa, a piece of aircraft debris washes ashore. It's a flaperon, part of a Boeing 777 wing, and it matches MH370. It's the first physical evidence that the aircraft met its end in the southern Indian Ocean. As more debris washes ashore, investigators piece together a chilling reality. MH370 likely broke apart upon impact with the ocean. But still, no black boxes, no cockpit voice recorder, no flight data recorder. Without them, the cause of the disappearance remains unknown. Today, more than a decade has passed since MH370 vanished. Over 120,000 square kilometers of seafloor mapped, dozens of countries involved, millions of dollars spent. And yet, the fuselage lies somewhere in the abyss, undiscovered, unrecovered, unexplained. For the families, there are no graves to visit, no final words, only a silence deeper than the sea that swallowed the aircraft whole. Flight MH370 has become more than a mystery. It is a symbol of how, despite radar, satellites and global surveillance, a modern jetliner can simply disappear. Was it a technical failure, a calculated hijacking, a deliberate act by someone on board, or something the world has yet to understand? The ocean knows, the black boxes know, but until they are found, MH370 will remain an open wound in aviation history. A question lost in the dark skies of March 2014. A flight that took off like any other and vanished into legend. And somewhere beneath cold, silent waters, the answers are still waiting.